Kausap natin si International Studies Professor Renato De Castro. Dr. De Castro, magandang gabi and thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ed. Mainin, how are you doing?
We're fine, sir. Thank you for joining us. Alam ko, gabi na. Pero sir, let me start off with that. Is this activity unusual on the part of China dun sa Iroquois Reef? And is there any value in us or the President talking to Chinese President Xi Jinping about it?
First of all, it's not you. Remember what happened in March 2021 at Winston Shoal, where the Chinese even deployed 240 fishing vessels. That was, of course, at that time, I could still remember Secretary Delfin Lovensana raised the ante then. Basically telling the people that they're not ordinary fisher folks. They are, of course, part of the Chinese maritime militia. So we are seeing this all over again. This is not you. This is basically part and parcel of China's continuing gray zone operation against the Philippines. So again, the point is whether it's worthwhile to speak to President Xi Jinping, probably just to tell him that we are concerned about the recent actions going on. But the bottom line here is we have to show to China that we should not be bullied by Chinese coercive action. We have to react the same way as how we reacted during that March 2021 Winston Shoal. It was during the time of the former President Rodrigo Duterte Jr. and of course Secretary Delfin Lovensana, who realized that despite efforts to appease China, we get nothing in return.
Opo.
So this is something that we should tell our people and we should learn the lesson. China would apply coercive actions against us, gray zone operation. No matter how we ask for China appeal, you maintain those lines of communication, it will amount to nothing. Just listen to the statement of the Chinese foreign minister's spokesperson. The Ayungin Shoal belongs to China. So how can you deal with a country that simply ignores international law? And of course, next week we will be commemorating the 7th anniversary of the July 12, 2016 arbitral ruling, which basically said that Ayungin Shoal is within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. And China's 9-line claim has no legal basis whatsoever.
Okay. Prof, so mukhang kayo po'y sumasang-ayon sinasabi ni Senator JV na mukhang panahon na pare-angat ito sa level ni PBBM, kausapin na si Chinese President Xi Jinping. Yung note verbal, Prof, kaliwat kanan na binigay natin, mukhang wala na po ba yung pag-asa?
Remember when President Bongbong Marcos was in Beijing,
Opo.
and he was talking with President Xi Jinping, that was in January. You have another incident that happened, right?
Yeah.
Which, of course, created doubts on the mind of no less than President Bongbong Marcos. The Chinese would say something and, of course, would do another thing.
Yeah.
So remember that incident when it was in Beijing. Of course, you have that incident when you have a Chinese Coast Guard vessel harassing a Philippine Navy ship that retrieved a debris from a Chinese rocket, rocket that part of a Chinese rocket that fell to the sea, and it was retrieved by the Philippine Navy. Then, of course, remember, just a few weeks after President Marcos' visit to Beijing, we have that incident where you have a Chinese Coast Guard vessel directing a military-grade laser at the Philippine Coast Guard vessel. So again, the point here is we have to wake up. The Chinese would say something and will do another. So again, this brings into question whether talking directly even to the Chinese leadership would actually bear fruit.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Pero to that question nga, sir, whether it would bear fruit or not. So what do we do? I mean,
well, we have to strengthen our capability. It's high time that we strengthen the capability of the Philippine Coast Guard, the Philippine Navy, and of course, remember during that the Winston Shoal incident, the United States showed its muscle. It deployed a carrier battle group and an amphibious task force. What do you call this? An amphibious task force along with a carrier battle group. So when the Chinese saw the American reacting in a very muscular manner, they decided to back off. China would only respect countervailing force.
Okay.
That's the bottom line with the story here.
Prof,
we cannot simply rely on their goodwill because actually there's none.
Oh,
Because
okay.
their goal is totally totally opposite to our goal.
Opo.
Their goal is to affect, of course, the control of the South China Sea, West Philippine Sea.
Opo. Prof, ito hong pagkikita ni sa US Defense Chief Austin at DND Secretary Gibo Chodoro, ano pong tingin nyo dito? Baka mas makalala itong sitwasyon o tama
I
lang?
know. It's a signal to them that
Okay.
Chinese action will have consequences. Remember, this is not new. Still remember what happened in 1996 on Mischief Reef when they occupied Mischief Reef, and they told us that this will just be a
Fishermen's
case
shelters.
of shelter for their fishermen. Where is now Mischief Reef? So we have to wake up from the fact that the Chinese has been playing this game all the time. As part of their efforts to control 85% of the South China Sea, West Philippine Sea.
Sir, just to make sure that we're getting this right. So basically, what you're saying is we're being played along,
Yes.
and it's about time
and
that
we've been being allowing the Chinese to pull our leg. Every
And,
time they assure us, then we take their word as it is. But then you have another. Then they take another action. Just remember, just a couple of weeks ago, they even sent their training ship here,
Yes, sir.
right? Just before President Bongbong Marcos visit to the United States, even the Chinese foreign minister came here to assure us. Did we get anything in return?
Yes, sir. Sir, I
So
know.
we have to, understand the game they're playing. It's a long game.
Yes, sir. Sir, you made use of that phrase countervailing force. I suppose that's basically it simply says, I suppose, show muscle.
Yeah, we have to develop, first of all, the national resolve. We have to wake up from our sleep. That China's goal is really controlling 85% of the South China Sea, West Philippine Sea. The Chinese will apply, of course, diplomacy, but it's wolf warrior diplomacy. At the end goal is, of course, simply subjugation on our part.
Okay.
We have to accept the Chinese control of the South China Sea, both in terms of on the ground, de facto, and simply accept as it is. It's Chinese is basically playing this game. The strong will do what they have to do. The weak, meaning us, would simply have to accept our fate.
All right. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, International Studies Professor Renato De Castro. Good evening, sir.
Salamat, sir.
Thank you. Mga kapatid, Mean Los Baños po. Huwag magpahuli sa mga balita at impormasyong dapat ninyong malaman. Para sa mas malawak na balitaan at diskusyon, mag-subscribe at mag-follow sa News 5 social media pages.